So when it says in part A, what's the average rate of change? That's kind of like an advanced algebra problem. So you've got two x values, 2 and 6. And I got to find the slope between those. Well, I don't have a y value yet, so what do I do to find a y value? Just plug in. So like if I plug 2 in here, -4 plus 6 is 2, so that'd be 12. And if I plug 6 in, I believe that's -8. And then the average rate of change is just the slope between them. So just like good old y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay. So you go 12 minus -8 over 2 minus 6. That's like 20 over -4, which is -5. So the slope between the endpoints is -5. Is that part okay? Like just plug in and find the slope. And part B says at some point, the instantaneous rate of change, which is just the derivative, that's all that means, is going to equal that slope that we just found. So you're going to take the derivative, so -2x plus 3, I'm taking the derivative of that function. That's the instantaneous slope. The mean value theorem says that the instantaneous slope is going to equal the average slope. So that's my instantaneous. What's my average slope? -5, that's what we just found. It makes no difference. And then you would solve this, so you get like -2x equals -8, and x equals 4. Does that process make sense? Questions what I'm doing? So then this kind of summarizes we've already done this, but the next problem I think is a table about those things. So I want to look at that. Yeah. So this is where you gotta just be careful about whether you're using the IVT or the MVT. So the IVT is values. The MVT is slopes. So let's do that. Try 2A and B, and maybe it's just in your head if you don't want to write it down, because you want to make sure it's right before you write it down. Totally fine, but like look through A and B, think about them, give them a shot. Okay, so this is feet. So if I ask you about feet, that's the values on this graph. If I ask you about velocity, that'd be the derivative of that table, which is the slope of that table. So those values, if I'm using those values that I see right there, that's intermediate value there. If I'm taking the slope of those values, now I'm getting down to the derivative level, which is the mean value. So part A, between 5 and 15, so here and here, is there a time t when the balloon is 50 feet in the air? Well, at the beginning it was 40, at the end it was 70. I can't get from 40 to 70 without crossing through 50, so yes, there must be a time. Why? That's the IVT. Because we're just looking at the actual values. We went from a y value of 40 to a y value of 70. You can't skip heights in the air. That's the intermediate value. Part B, now we're talking about velocity. So now we're looking at the slope. So I got to actually find that and make sure. So I'm looking at these 2 points. So if I find the slope, it's 80 minus 65 is y2 minus y1 over 30 minus 20, which is 15 over 10. Or 1.5 feet per second, which is what they asked me about. So the answer is yes, and why? MVT. Questions? Anything I can help with? No question. Pointed at me like you're gonna ask me something. I got excited. Alright. Okay. Let me see which ones you have to do and not do. Give you guys time to start working. You can skip the calculator ones. Just for you, Warren. Just so you don't ask me a question about that. No. Don't do the calculator ones, but all the rest you are responsible for. Yeah, don't do the calculator. Then we've only got a couple sections left. The test is going to be probably early next week. That's cool. That'll be rough. Then we'd have to fill with like 3 days of nonsense.
Have you ever done a test where
Ain't nobody got time for that.
3 days of nonsense? That is fun.
I've never done one.
Wait. If you do a test and the grade helps your first semester grade, then it goes first semester grade, it doesn't go second semester. That would be a really good idea.
So you would, so if it helped your grade, you would apply it, but if it didn't change your grade.
No, if it made it worse.
Then you throw it into the next one, you're starting off crappy.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
see,
I'm
I'd rather do
yes.
that because honestly,
I'd rather
first
start off
semester
crappy. You
doesn't
choose
matter
what
as much
semester.
as second semester. Like now, colleges like look at like your first semester one. They don't look at your second semester.
Yeah, they do.
So,
Well, if you're like on the border, or if you
yeah,
completely fail. But
yeah.
I have not done that. I'll think about it.
Well, what if you set a precedent?
What?
Yeah, I do think
we have to justify a thing.
I think that's alright.
Like which? Yeah, it's still just say whether it's IBT or MBT.
So just no IBT, yeah, period.
Works for me. You don't even have to do circle.
I wrote a lot. Okay.
You circle. I don't know what you guys do in circle.
I'll cut the stereo too, actually. That's better than stereo.
I don't know. That seems like emphatic. Like no.
Yeah. That's better.
Where'd you get that idea? Or did you just come up with
Yeah, that was my idea.
it? How's the Carter original?
I believe it.
Mr. Davis,
Okay.
do you ever follow the text?
Any questions?
Did,
Yeah. It was second hour.
Oh yeah, did you?
I thought it was first. Yeah, Rod took them.
Oh yeah. So yeah, you went through Rod. I don't remember how.
Well, they were for crap tomorrow, actually, so I took those crap.
Oh.
I love.
I like how you
Yes.
Test.
We'll just have you do these.
No
Wait, they'll be
portion
on there.
credit.
If I gave partial credit, you guys would be like, well, I got the VT right. Can I get 2/3 of the points?
Well, and you said.
I mean,
yes.